And coming up on the Dead Good Show, I will be joined by Lolo Stubbs. Lolo is absolutely fantastic. I adore her, right? She is a mumpreneur, I would say. She's a best-selling author. She's co-founder of the magazine BROOD, and she's a mum of 4. So she's here to talk about the juggle and the struggle, and to make you feel, if you're ever struggling with the kids, if you're a parent, a little bit more human. Everybody needs a Lolo Stubbs in their life. First guest this evening is Salford-born best-selling author, co-founder of BROOD magazine, and mum of 4. Mum of 4, by the way. Come on, Lolo Stubbs. Just by her introduction alone, I'm sure that you'll agree with me that she sounds like Superwoman. You need a Wonder Woman outfit. Lolo is someone who's really passionate about empowering others through her work. I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by her this evening. Honestly, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
Oh, no, honestly, anytime. Let's talk about your books first then, Lolo.
Okay.
Your first novel.
What do you want to know? Where do I start?
Your first novel, Dressed Up as Love, and the sequel, Dressed Up in Armour. They're fiction, aren't they? Are they based on life experiences, though? They
are, yeah. I drew on my own experiences of domestic abuse and those of friends and family, and it was something I'd kind of done over the years. I think I was pregnant with my first child at the start when I started doing it, and it was one of them pipe dreams I'd always had of writing a book, but was never intended on anyone reading it, because I thought, what if it's rubbish? What if, what will people say? What will people think that who does she think she is, writing a book? So it was all those kind of thoughts, and so it just stayed on my laptop. I'd pick it up, put it down. Every couple of years I'd just get this spurt of like needing, I suppose it was a bit of therapy in a way as well. It was just a story that was in me that I needed to get down, and yeah, I was pregnant with my 4th child by the time I finished it, and it was actually a friend of mine passed away, Scott, quite unexpectedly, and he was only in his early 30s, and he'd always said to me, you need to be more confident. Like, he was my hairdresser and a really good friend, and I wouldn't even take a selfie after I'd been to the hairdressers. And he was like, and when he passed away, I thought, if I'm lucky enough to be an old lady, I don't want to sit there with regrets, and if you just never know what's around the corner. I thought, do you know what am I doing? I'm going to finish it. And I was actually in hospital for 6 weeks at the end of my pregnancy with my 4th child, and I just got this oomph of, I'm going to finish it, I'm going to put it out there, and what's the worst that can happen? And thankfully, best-selling,
by the way, best-selling.
Yeah, thank you. Thankfully, people enjoyed it, and I was lucky enough to be put in touch with Women's Aid, who wanted to help by donating some of the proceeds to it, and I met the head of their media relations and everything, Therese, and we've become really, really good friends in the process. But yeah, we did a great launch in Manchester, loads of support from people, and one in London as well, and Katie Piper came down, and
wow,
yeah, it was just a really empowering room full of women supporting women, and men supporting women as well,
because that's so important as well. Obviously, you mentioned there the support from Women's Aid.
Yeah,
it's a charity that you're also an ambassador for.
Yes.
Why is it so important to you, Women's Aid?
I think obviously the work that they do is incredible, and for me, it's something that when I found myself in that situation, it wasn't a physical form of abuse, and it was at the time something that wasn't really spoken about, and you didn't really realise that coercive abuse even existed, emotional, and just how that can be as damaging as physical abuse. And I think the work that Women's Aid have done to highlight all the different areas of abuse and save so many women and children's lives, and I just think, I'm just so proud that they asked me to be an ambassador as well, so I'm the Expect Respect Ambassador, which is a campaign that they've run alongside Yves Saint Laurent, and so I've been lucky enough to go into a couple of schools and just tell people, because I think with me it was I was a lot younger, and I think when it's one of your first relationships, you don't really know what is normal, so to speak, and what isn't. And I think it's really important to educate young people of what is a healthy relationship, and not to see things like, you know, over the top jealousy is, oh, it's really nice, you know, they must really love me if they're, you know, jealous and possessive and things. So it's really, really important. And they've got their conference next month, which I'm lucky enough to be speaking at as well. So the work they do is amazing. It really is.
And to write a book, never mind two, is an incredible achievement as well. To write a book that resonates with people out there who can help, who have been through those kind of experiences, who can relate to it.
Yeah.
It must give you so much extra pride.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, the biggest I mean, obviously you see the review, waiting for them reviews to come in is like, oh my God. And seeing those are lovely, but when you get those private like DMs off people that you don't even know, and they tell you like, oh my God, I felt like I was reading my life story, I feel less alone now, and watching, and I've followed quite a few of the ladies that have reached out to me, and to see them like a year on and things, and just watching them continuing to grow and shine, and you know, not let anyone dull the sparkle anymore, and it is a process, and that's really what the sequel's about as well. That even once if you're lucky enough to get out of that situation, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're okay overnight. It's it's a real process, and there's a lot of, you know, I think it takes a lot of strength and determination to not let something continue to affect you. And I think you always have little triggers and things that can take you back in the strangest way. A song or a smell, or, you know, somebody might say something and you think, oh, and you're back there, but they didn't mean it that way. You know, it's definitely a process.
These little triggers.
Yeah.
Let's talk BROOD magazine. Yes, because this is a magazine by parents for parents. How did the idea for it come about? Because me and producer Hattie think it's the best idea. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, it was kind of something, I think it stems from, so I was kind of forced into self-employment really through ill health, which was a long story, and so was Rob, my husband, and because of that we had to work really, really hard at the same time as our son had just been born. We got told we wouldn't have any children, and when he was 8 months old, we were really, really blessed to fall pregnant just before a round of IVF, and when he was 8 months old we found out I was pregnant again. So it was kind of like, oh, we've got two babies under 15 months old, we just started this business, and everyone was like, oh, well, surely you're not going to be able to do that now, are you? And I thought, and to cut a long story short, I'd spent most of my 20s kind of in and out of a wheelchair, in and out of hospital through various things, and I thought, no, I'd not been able to work. I didn't think I was going to have children. Yes, I am. I'm going to do it all. And I think when they started nursery and school and things, and I wasn't able to go to all the play dates, and you feel like it can be quite isolating, I think, when you are a working parent with a career that really means a lot to you, and you can't necessarily just switch off, or you're running a business, and again it can be 24, especially in the early stages. And for me, we kind of felt a bit lonely a lot as a parent anyway, but then in the world of your career as well. And everywhere I looked, the parenting magazines seemed to be more targeted to people that stayed at home as parents, and then like the kind of entrepreneurial magazines or things were more targeted, like with get up at 5 and do this and do that. And I thought, well, if you're not with baby all night, then you ain't getting up at 5 all refreshed,
unrealistic.
Ready. Yeah, setting your goals and meditating. I was like, well, there's nothing there's nothing there. And it was kind of just a little, again, another goal that I love writing, obviously, and my background in PR. I thought I'd love to have a magazine at some point, and again felt like it was a pipe dream at one point, but it was just always there, a little bit of a goal. And we started working with our business partner Tom, so it's me, my husband Rob, and Tom, Pitfield, and we'd worked with him about 2 years. And you know, when you just gel with somebody, your vision's the same, and he had 2 children, and yeah, we just sort of said, what do you think of this idea? And he loved it, and we grew it from that. You know, it was obviously a little seed. The seed was there, but between the 3 of us, you know, we've made it what it is, and we're just so pleased that everybody else is taking as much from it as we wanted, and they love it the same way we do.
How can people find it?
Okay, so at the moment it's an online magazine. Obviously we kind of was, you know, testing the water, but we're just over 12 months old now, so we're actually going into print from September.
Yes!
Which is really exciting.
Oh, well done.
Which we haven't actually announced yet, so that's the
exclusive.
It's exclusive. Yeah, so that's going out next week, so people, you know, will be able to, every quarter a printed copy will be coming out, and but for now it's on. And we've had some, do you know, the support from people that it's just been incredible. We've had some really high profile celebrities just being so open and honest, and entrepreneurs, and, you know, just every walk of life, and that's really important to us as well. Shine the light on the people that wouldn't necessarily get that press and stuff.
We're going to talk really briefly after a song about the juggle, the struggle, and mum and dad guilt as well. So we're going to get to that. We've got Drive, Clean Bandit, Topic and Wes Nelson right here on the Dead Good Show on BBC Radio Manchester. I hope you're having a great Friday evening. Drive on BBC Radio Manchester. You're listening to the Dead Good Show with me, Emily Brobin, and I'm joined in the studio by mum of 4, best-selling author, co-founder of BROOD magazine. It's Lolo Stubbs.
Hi.
We've been having a right good chat
We
there.
have.
But one thing we were chatting about then off there is the juggle and the struggle. When you're a parent, whether it be a mum or a dad, how do you juggle it all? Because you're a mum of 4, Lolo, you're best-selling author, you've got a business. How do you manage it?
Do you know, in all honesty, I think we're all winging it out. I don't watch a lot of telly. I know we spoke last night briefly, didn't we? And I was like, the Kardashians are on, and just like that. And that is I was like dead excited, got me a glass of wine, and I needed that last night. But most nights I don't watch telly. Like, you know, I do my writing at the night. The kids 9 times out of 10 go to school with a creased uniform, because I always put makeup on, if I ever have any on, in the taxi. You know, you put yourself bottom of the list, don't you? And yeah, I don't know. I think week by week, you just got to try and take it. You set your goals at the start of the week. You try and be organised, but supportive family, supportive friends as well is really important. I think years ago I would never have admitted I was struggling. I felt like I was a failure to say, oh my God, you know, this week I'm really struggling, or, you know, but like this week alone, our daughter's in a theatre show, and without the help of friends, you know, it had just been a nightmare, because to get her there and back, she's done 4 nights, and like tonight, obviously I'm here. Rob was abseiling down the Trafford Centre before, and it's just madness sometimes. I think, like last night, as I mentioned to you before, it was like particularly, I think it'd have been calmer in a zoo last night than it was in our house. It was just a nightmare. But I think, you know, everybody's the same, I think, and it's all relative. If you've only got one child, that is, you know, it's what you're used to. You know, you kind of just. Yeah, I don't know. I've not got any tips or inspiration, really.
But you are. That's the thing, Lolo. You are an inspiration, because you do manage the juggle. And you said then about winging it. And we do all feel like that. We're not experts in any way, but
no.
We're just doing our best. And that's the important thing to remember, you know, just doing our best. But one of the things that we have to talk about as well before we let you go is the dreaded mum guilt.
Oh, God.
This is the one thing that gets me, because I feel it constantly. How do you navigate through and around the mum guilt side of it?
I think for me, I let myself feel it for a little minute, because sometimes if you bury it, it gets worse. But for example, on Friday when we had an event for BROOD, it turned out that we'd got like 2 days notice. Our eldest, who is on the autism spectrum, had to go for a special day to his high school, and it was like, we can't take him, and there was just no way. He had to be there at 8:40, picked up at 10:40, and I was like, what we're going to do, we're letting him down. And he also was in a semi-final playing football, and I was like, but there was nothing we could do, you know. And sometimes work ends up taking priority because you don't have a choice, and then other times family does, and then you feel guilty about the work. So I don't think you can ever win. And I think just talking to people, I think that's what's really special about everybody being as open and honest as possible, and just being able to hear that you're not the only one that feels like that. And like with us just chatting then, you know, I think it does make you feel better. And you know, I know like it is mum guilt a lot of the time as well, but obviously like with my husband, and I know Tom, they're really hands-on dads, and I know they feel the dad guilt and stuff, and I think society puts a lot more pressure on mums, so I think that's why the mum guilt is worse. You know, I know sometimes like it's always seen like Rob should have a medal for looking after the children, but we're 50-50. He's an amazing dad and we're a team, but you don't necessarily get that same medal or, you know, gratitude for looking after the kids. So it's just expected, isn't it, I think? Yeah,
100%. That's it. But I could talk to you all night.
Same.
With cocktails at some point.
Yes, definitely. I'll say we just need a glass of wine and some music, don't we?
We will go for cocktails. Honestly, I am so grateful for you for coming in tonight on the
My pleasure,
show.
Honestly. Thank you for asking me.
No, anytime. I'll live in for the honesty, because I think that when you are a parent, you really need to hear that, and speaking to other parents makes you feel a lot more human when you can feel isolated. So Lolo Stubbs, thank you so much for coming in. Dressed Up is Love, Dressed Up in Armour are the best selling books. BROOD is the magazine. Please go and check them all out.